what my future life was going to be. And my Aunt Gertrude and my Aunt Lena and my mother and the whole family, you know, to run around in a bathing suit, you know, 10 hours a day just wasn't what, you know. They wanted me to become an elementary school teacher, which 60, 70 years ago, young women were nurses and doctors, and not doctors, and secretaries or teachers, and I went to the university. After my father passed away, I went to the lawyer and I asked for money for my going to physical education at the University of Illinois. And he said, there's no money for your physical education, there's only money for you to become an elementary school teacher. And I said, what happened? He said, your father did not want you to be a swimming teacher. And so you have money, and when you're 25 years old, you can have the money, but you have to study to be a teacher. Now, I was very angry at my father. I graduated with a bachelor's degree in education, but my father did me a huge favor. Instead of studying physiology, chemistry, kinesiology, anatomy, sports, I studied the humanities. I had 2 years of wonderful studies in liberal arts, and then came the methodology problem. But I did not become a great swimming teacher because I was a great swimmer. I became a great teacher, swimming teacher, because I became a great teacher. By the time I had graduated from grammar school, I was fluent in 3 languages. I was fluent in English, I was fluent in Hebrew, and I was fluent in Yiddish. And I very, very often found that knowing a second language is imperative when you're teaching swimming. And one of the things that's so great about when we get to minority groups and Latino groups and other groups is that swimming is teaching swimming is an imperative language. Blow, fly, inhale. It's not go to the store and buy me tomato sauce because I want to make a pizza, right? It's not that kind of language. And so I began a teaching career or a consulting career in teaching swimming when English is a second language, because we have the drowning rates in communities of minorities. So there was always this moral and ethical responsibility, and it comes around 1980. I had wonderful experiences teaching in Canada. I had a wonderful history of teaching. I was teaching in Israel, and for several months during the summertime. And I was getting and I was getting very pissed off with the Red Cross and the Y program because I was working in communities where the drowning rate was going up, and I was even in non-minority groups, and I couldn't figure out why I, as a water safety instructor trainer, which is the highest certificate of teaching swimming in the United States for the Red Cross, why we were having this drowning rate problem. And I thought, you know, maybe I should look someplace else. And I looked, it was before Google and the internet. This is 1987, 88. And I look up and I see that there's an American Swimming Coaches Association. So I'm bothered by this problem, but I want to do something about it. So I make a phone call, and I find John Leonard is interested in starting a SwimAmerica program. So I talked to my husband, who was then the senior text lawyer for Sears Roebuck, and I said, I want to go down to Fort Lauderdale and talk to this gentleman. And he said, I'll go with you because I have some business to do with shopping centers in Florida. And we went and we met with John Leonard. And I told him, we have to do something about this. So he proposed this idea. And the thing that I got from that one meeting was there were 3 things we were looking for: efficient swimming, non-resistant, distance swimming. Efficient, distance, and non-resistant. But then I realized that when you teach a kid from the very beginning with the concept that this kid may be eventually a competitive swimmer, you teach him right in the first place, so the arm doesn't swing around in the crawl and waste energy in the shoulder in this game. You lift the arm and you put it forward. How are we going to put it all? We're going to take an inhale and blow off the tail. We're going to teach breathing as the foundation of swimming. So I thought, well, here's an organization, unlike the Red Cross and the Y program, which, by the way, do a terrific job. I just think that when you have the idea that somebody is going to be maybe eventually a competitive swimmer, or they want to be a competitor, they're learning swimming correctly from the beginning. And it's swimming for a life program. It's like not you get through being a frog or a tadpole or whatever they call it, and then then you don't, then forget it. You don't have to do it. So I go home and I talked to Ralph, and I said to him, you know, John Leonard wants $100,000 to get SwimAmerica going. And John DuPont was going to give $75,000 if SwimAmerica could raise $25,000. And Ralph said, that's not a problem. Why? Because Ralph, my husband, was in touch with all these big shopping center developers throughout the country, okay? So when you go to a shopping center, this was before online, for those of you that are young, you just see the name of the shopping center, but you don't see the name of the developer. So Ralph said, we'll get 10 shopping center developers, each to give, you know, $2,500, and we'll raise the money in no time. And because my husband was so respected as a tax lawyer, he called Buxenbaum in Iowa, or Bartolo in San Francisco, or Liv Schultz in Tennessee, and say, my wife is working on this program called SwimAmerica with the American Swimming Coaches Association, and we need to raise $25,000. Will you participate? And for these guys at that time were shopping malls, and this is before Walmart, okay? And Sears was such a big company, and Montgomery Ward. So these guys for $2,500, you can't imagine how fast they wrote out a check. Because Ralph said, we'll get your name, SwimAmerica. So the mother's driving to the mall with her kids. She sees SwimAmerica. She sees Buxbaum and Company, or Bartolo and Company, and she calls, and there's a number to call, and she calls and says, I would like my child. So what did the $2,500 go? It gave us a Y, it gave us a pool rental, it gave us a swim coach, and we got parents to sign up, and I actually went upstairs to my files, and I found the original documents from 1988 and 1989, and we've given them to Abby to edit. So that's how we got this program going. And I saw that SwimAmerica was growing. The years go by, I keep teaching swimming, I'm all over the world, I'm lecturing, I'm training teachers, I'm doing all kinds of stuff. But the drowning rate is still bothering me. And then my husband unfortunately passed away 3 years ago. He was a very liberated man. The Red Cross line was mostly male, white, and then the doors opened up and opportunity began for women, for other people to get into swimming, and he was very supportive of all my swimming, or teaching swimming and my swimming. And I'm watching the Olympics at Paris, and I'm watching the swimmers going back and forth, and I'm thinking to myself, how many hours a day does it take to become an Olympic swimmer? And I'm thinking about this drowning rate that shot up according to the Center for Disease Control because COVID came in and kids were taking swimming lessons. And the drowning rate not only went up in our country, but in other countries. So the problem was, it got to bother me. And then I thought, you know what? If every high school competitive swimmer and every college competitive swimmer would give 1 or 2 hours a week to work with a head teacher, that means not to be an administrator, or just to come and teach a blow a bubble, turn stage 3 or 6, where you're on your roll over on the back, whatever it is, just to be an assistant teacher. Could we cut the drowning rate through SwimAmerica? Now, why did I say that? Because I give at least 100 hours a year to adults and young children, volunteering my part in cutting the drowning. It's not that kids drown, there's one problem, but it's the kids that drown and don't get the oxygen supply to their brain and actually physically survive, but brain-wise they're damaged. And, you know, I think God brought us together. I truly feel I got on the phone. I haven't done anything with SwimAmerica except to get it its money and to get it started with $100,000. And I get on the phone with Bill and I said, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to give you $5,000. I'm going to send a check next week. I want it to go to SwimAmerica. I don't care what you do with it, but I want SwimAmerica to grow. Because I sincerely believe, as a recreational swimming teacher, that you guys have the best program, the best, very best. And I've been around the block and I've seen a lot of programs, all the way from New York to California and now. One of the things that I've done the last the third week in May, we have a minority group in northern part of our county, and I am the director of a swimming program that has 52 children, 11 teachers, and 2 lifeguards, and me, who's sitting in front of you. And all it is called Blow a Bubble Campaign. It's to get kids to be able to get in the water by themselves, blow a bubble, swim a little bit, turn around, get back to the edge of the pool, and get back up again. Now, if I can do that at my age in North Carolina in the hot week of May, we can get our other competitive swimmers to get in the pool and help you with your programs. You need to get the competitive kids to come and find out the joy and the happiness that teaching swimming brings. And a lot of them never will have that experience because nobody ever asked them to help out teach a class. Now, after I gave my little talk here in the morning, I thought the adult swimming program. You know what? You could make a brochure, send it to the doctors, and say, I am a swimming teacher. We know it helps people with asthma, heart problems, hip problems, whatever. And runners are lining up from, the ones that started 20 years, now it's 40 years later, and 60 years. And market your program to your doctors, and have one of your students say, I had asthma, I have a student who no longer has asthma, whatever, how people write reviews. And I think that the aging population, the fact that I'm sitting here tells you more about modern medicine than any medical journal. And I think with this aging population and what you're doing in Las Vegas, is that correct? Vegas? Somebody was talking about it, I don't know, other days. But anyway, this is the way to go. So, when my husband passed was there, my younger son, and after the funeral, the two boys were 63 and 61 at that time, and the younger son gave the eulogy, and he says to his older brother, when mother dies, I'm not doing the eulogy, you're going to have to do the eulogy. And Ernest, the older son, says, Daniel, this isn't a problem. He said, why isn't it a problem? He said, there's only 3 things to say in mother's eulogy. Inhale, exhale.
Is that all? Really touch on all 6 of my questions that I have for you.
Boy, it's a great being here. My other life in teaching swimming is I am a lecturer and historian on the artist Marc Chagall. I've written a book. I'm world famous in the art world as well as swimming. I'm very fortunate to carry it. And I gave my entire Chagall collection, books, catalogs, emails, and photos, and so forth, to the University of North Carolina, Pembroke.
Awesome.
And last December, they awarded me an honorary doctorate in humanities.
Change that to Dr. Vivian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that, I want to tell you, that honorary doctorate degree, it's nice. It's wonderful. I'm happy I got it. I had a cap and gown. I made a speech on Chagall and all that. But I want to tell you, when Sweetie Pie asked me to come to speak as a recreational teacher for a competitive swimming organization, I'm telling you very honestly, this is one of the greatest honors I've ever had in my swimming life, is to come and to speak to you today and tell you how I feel. And you can see that I love to talk as well as swim.
I think you can talk more than I can talk.
What I would like to see come out of this room and out of this meeting is for us, and including myself, to continue to be more resourceful. Even if we have an adult swimming program, I'm telling you right now, in this adult community that's out there, over 75 years of age, my next student on the waiting list is 84 years of age. There's money. And I think if you need money for your program, ask your students. And you will be very, very surprised that I think they will continue to support those programs. One of the things that I think is, I'm not saying that golf has overtaken the younger population, because I live in a golf community and I see what it happens, you know. But we don't have a high school swimming pool. Here's Pinehurst, North Carolina, one of the wealthiest communities that I live in North Carolina, and they took out the local swimming pool. So the kids have to go to a private. We just don't have enough teachers also. Are there any questions from you?
I have a question for Vivian.
Yeah.
So Vivian, when SwimAmerica first started, I understand that there were a group of people. How did you all get together? How did that all happen?
So when you went, after you went to John Lennon,
Oh, very
so
good.
there are 10 people, right? How did you guys work together?
Very good question. The coaches were, I don't have the names of the coaches, you have the names of the coaches.
Yeah.
I think they were fun. They had a specific program, but they needed the breathing technique. There's a green envelope on the back table, or bring me the envelopes from the back table.
Is this for the list of? This is the list of.
Is there another? Yeah, bring it. This is yours. This is yours.
I'll come back.
So, John Leonard said DuPont gave the $75,000, and Vivian Jacobson and her husband raised $25,000, we're ready to go. So we had the $100,000. And they sat down and they developed the program and the ideas, and that's in these folders. The original SwimAmerica program is in here. Now it's changed drastically because it's moved forward. But the coaches asked me to come to Fort Lauderdale when we were putting this together because they wanted to bring the breathing technique. And they wanted my breathing technique. You know what? You know how old I am now. I forgot my glasses are on. I'm sorry.
Did you originally call it Bob's?
Yes, yes.
Is that your, did you?
No, that was for the Red Cross.
Okay.
So, here's what I wrote. This is what I brought to the program. I'm just going to read. 1982 I wrote this. Water safety instructor, trainer, American Red Cross teacher, and consultant. Breathing properly in the water builds endurance, lessens fatigues, helps a person to relax, is the basis of survival swimming. Lungs to be used as a flotation device. Teach the kids that air in the balloon will help the balloon go up. Air in the lungs will help you go up. Helps in necessary coordination for strokes. Helps the student to think about stroke corrections that teacher is giving to improve the swimming. It helps in others, water ballet, life-saving, boating, respiratory and cardiovascular system. When you get your adult swim program, there's nothing like bringing it, like right now, my lungs, my heart, you know, I have to eat, I want to go to sleep, you know. Swimming is an oxygen deprivation sport. Swimming is about bringing an exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Now, some of your kids that are 10, 11, 12 years old start to teach swimming from a scientific level. For every act, the physics, the governing body movement, it's called the hydrodynamics of swimming. Body movement in the water, integrated with breathing. For every action, there's an opposite reaction. Leverage, buoyancy. Explain to the kids, because the kids are, is that what they call STEM, the science? Yeah. So you can even introduce a lot of science, because swimming is a resistant, water is a resistant activity.
Sure.
So we very much want to concentrate on bobbing and breathing. Now, I work with a neuroscience person, and I talk to them about the neuroscience of teaching. And one of the things that we're finding out is not only do swimmers live longer, but apparently teaching and learning the breaststroke is an anti-Alzheimer's project.
The breaststroke.
One of the reasons for that, if I say to you, get a can of tomato sauce, we're back to tomato sauce. So you reach like that. So this is a natural movement, the front crawl, reach. If I say, get a can of tomato sauce, you're not doing your hands like that. The whip kick, the kick is whereas the crawl kick is very natural. This is how we walk in the vertical position. This is what we do in the horizontal position. So the neuroscience is teaching us that when a child or an adult is relaxed enough in the water through the bobbin, and the air becomes the flotation device, okay, the instinct for survival, how am I going to survive, is dissipated. what we call that in the world of art is the perfume moment. That's when the heart and the mind come together. It's the perfume moment. And finally, this movement has given, the coach has given the brain of the child or the adult the ability to absorb the message without the interference of how am I going to survive. Is that, if I explained it?
Yeah.
So this is why body and breathing are so important. Because when the child is in this glide position and relaxed, and you want the child to do the back crawl arm stroke, and you say, don't bring it over your head, I want you to do it this way. So the kid is on the back, and all of a sudden, he's relaxed enough to follow the instructions, and that's how you become an efficient, non-resistant distance swimmer, because you're relaxed. So we also found out lately that swimmers live longer than runners.
That's clearly.
I think we can. One of the things that I want to tell you that's the most important, which I love about your program, and I've read the manual, but now I'm going to do a little bit more thinking on this, is what's called the progression skill method. Don't teach a skill like floating on your back. Every kid has the problem of floating on their back. It's not floating on their back that's the problem. The problem is, how do I get up from the horizontal position to standing in the vertical position? So you kind of have to do it ass backwards. First you teach how to stand up in the water properly. You get them on the back and you teach them how to stand up by themselves. Then guess what? And then you have an exhale with it, and they're floating on their own, and they learn how to stand up by themselves. One of the programs that I developed, and this is with smaller children, is called Are You Ready? We have a lot of, am I keeping talking?
Keep going.
Keep going.
Okay.
Nobody's moving or swimming. Never react to it.
I have a bottle of hydro,
You need some water?
Yeah, this is water.
oh, wait, yes.
Oh, yes.
I'm asking for the water, I lost my thought. What?
Are you ready program?
Oh, yeah, it's called Are You Ready? Now, we have a lot of parents, and we have a lot of relatives that think that they know how swimming is going. And, I have my earphones in, and I hear my phone going. Isn't that interesting? It's all right. You can't hear it, though. No, okay. All right. Keep talking. And sometimes we get kids into a program, and they wallop in a lot of water.
Sure.
So the kid comes to the pool, and the mother and the grandmother and grandmother drink this. So the kid's used to drinking, swallowing water. He thinks he sees the water, so he's got to swallow the water. No. When you blow out, the water can't come in. That's why we're teaching this system to blow out the candle before you come to the water, right? Now we do have teachers and we do have problems where the kids do inhale water and then they don't want to come back again. This is a 3 to 4 year old group. This is the new drowning situation. This is going to be a new drowning situation. So we have to bring the kid back to the water. And I developed, and you may want to adopt this, it's called Are You Ready? And what you do is the parent brings the child to the pool, and you say to the child, I'm going to be your teacher today, and I'm sorry that you had this problem where you took in the water and it must have felt not good, and it made you feel funny, or you were scared, or whatever it is. And the child kind of looks at you, because they're not going in the water no matter what you say, right? And then you say, I have this idea, it's called Are You Ready? And I'm going to ask you to do something to get you back in the pool again. But before you do it, I'm going to ask you, are you ready? Are you ready, Bill, to come to this lesson? Okay. I'm going to put you in control. You're going to tell me how to move forward. Okay. Can you wash your face? Are you ready to wash your face? Yes. Can you take a little water? Are you ready to blow a bubble into the water in your hand? Can you show me how you're going to blow out a candle? Are you ready? And then and the child says yes, or they say no, and you listen to the child and you just keep going. Then if the parent is sitting on the side, you say, Mother, are you ready? Grandma, are you ready? Dad, are you ready? Are you ready? The student. You ask around. And they say, now we're going to put our face in the water, just like we did with my hand. And we're just going to put it just a little bit in the water. We're going to blow out, because the water will not come in when you continue to blow out the candle. Are you ready? And I have found that this system of getting kids back into the water when they had a bad experience, and believe me, it has been a bad experience for them, is the best thing, is to ask them, are you ready? Now, there's some kids who have lost their attention span and cannot take a lesson, or a group of kids. And I taught military aquatics. I studied at Great Lakes Naval Training Center with the SEALs from Coronado Beach, California. And, my husband said to me, what did you learn? And I said, I can't talk about it. And the Israelis, what do you mean? I sent you out with all these men to the SEALs from Colorado County. I can't tell. No, Ralph, I can't tell you. And he says, I am your husband. I let you go to this program. I want to know what you learned. So I said, okay, for 8 years, you're not allowed to talk about this at all, to anybody. And I tell him, I learned how to kill somebody in the water. And my husband looked at me and he said, Vivian, now that you've learned to kill somebody in the water, do you think you can learn to make my mother's apple cake? So I took the military and the Israeli government, and I went to teach little kids to swim. And somebody in my kibbutz, which was off the Gaza Strip, said to me, we don't need you for the little kids, we need you for the Israel military. So I didn't hear from him for a year, because he was probably doing a security check. And one day I get 0600 Richardson, the Great Lakes Naval Training Select of 22 May. So I thought, oh God, they want me to report for duty. And they had all these kids from Virginia and Tennessee, and they signed up for the Navy, and they'd never been swimming. And the first thing they had to do was to jump from a 17-foot tower, and so they needed me. So meanwhile, in the next pool over, the guys from Sandy, who are supposed to be studying with the SEALs from Coronado Beach, California, on how to kill somebody in the water. By the way, it's very easy if you know how to inhale an exhale. Very easy to learn how to aspirate the water in somebody's lungs.
Oh my God.
But I still haven't learned to make the apple cake. Anyway, and so I went to Israel and I went to teach this program, and they didn't have a program for little children, and it was very, very successful. I taught a lot of kids swimming, and I trained a lot of teachers. That's the important thing. I want you to look for your future teachers. You see a kid, I don't care if they're 9 years old, 10 years old. So, go ahead.
Could we, when you're ready, could we ask if anybody has a question?
I have 2 stories to tell.
We're ready to hear.
Okay. My first because I was very involved in the art world. I was invited in the work that I was doing with the artist Marc Chagall to Paris, and we were at the Plaza Athénée, which is a very, very glamorous hotel, and it has a place called the Palm Courtyard. And I was sitting with the real movers and shakers in the art world in Paris, and the museums at Centre Pompidou and Versailles. And three guys who in their 30s see me sitting in the corner with these people. Of course, you know, they never even they just came up to me and went, I cried. They did it 3 times. And these people, I remember the director of the Centre Pompidou, Dominique. So the second story I want to tell is I was in Israel teaching, and I'm at the phone booth in Jerusalem, and this kid comes up to me, he's like 20, and my Hebrew name is Chaviva. He says, Chaviva, how are you? I said, I'm sorry, I don't know who you were. He said, I'm Ezra Goldman. And I said, how do I know you? He said, you were my swimming teacher in Camp Sura in 1969. And I said, how do you remember me? And he replied, the girl I first kissed, I don't remember. But the woman who taught me to jump into deep water, I remember forever. And then I had this student of mine when he was 11 years old, and he's now 42, and 2 years ago he calls me from Manhattan. Big shot Apple marketing communicator in New York, and he's coming to visit his mother in Southern Pines, which is next to Pinehurst, and he's bringing his daughter, who's 3 years old, and he would like me to teach her swimming. And I said, Steve, you're in Manhattan, you have money, there are private teachers at JCC's, there's like, no. I told my wife that when we were engaged, if we got married and we had children, you were going to teach them swimming no matter where we were. So the kid's now 3 years old. The whole family flies from Manhattan. You know what it costs? You know, comes in. He's at his mother's house in Southern Pines, and I teach this little girl how to put her head in the water and blow a bubble and start enjoying life. And she's doing really well. And so after the class, I said to Steve, Steve, tell me, what was the bottom line that you insisted that your child start swimming lessons with me? He said, when you were my swimming teacher, and I was 11 years old, I was a very shy, quiet child. But when I got learning to jump in the water and to swim back and forth in the pool, you gave me confidence that I never had before. And he said, I still have that confidence today. And that's what you're doing. You're making, it's not that you're teaching swimming. It's not that you're teaching swimming. You're teaching kids to be proud of themselves, to be confident in themselves, to respect their bodies, to listen to instructions. And I don't know, I know that sports do that. I know that other sports do it, but I don't think that anything like can beat teaching swimming. Do you know when you're a great swimming teacher? When the kid or the adult comes out of the locker room, one person, and goes home a better person. They're nicer to their family, they're nicer to their husband, they're more confident by themselves. Why? Because you taught them how to do the back crawl. You know, or they swam 100 yards of front crawl, and they've never done that before. So that's what swimming does. It helps, aside from the good health situation I talked about, and you're looking at a person who's basically 16. I'm 16 in the water, and chronologically I'm 88 on land. You know, as soon as I get out of the water, my chronological age shows up. But I just said to one of the swimming teachers here, I don't know who it was, I think when you teach swimming and you see a kid blow a bubble for the first time the way you want it, or you see a kid float, or you see a kid do a knee dive, or whatever it is, it does something for you in the teacher, personally. The hormonal level, the endorphins are working. And I'll tell you one thing. I've never met an ugly woman swimming teacher. They never need Botox. They are just happy, outgoing, wonderful, beautiful women that get such a joy from teaching swimming, and I'm sure the men get handsomer too. Maybe my eyes weren't there yet. But I think it does great for the kids, and it certainly does great for the swimming teachers. And I told my doctors, they're under the gun. I don't care how you treat me, why you treat me, where you treat me, the medicine. You are morally and ethically obligated to keep me alive and healthy so that I can continue teaching swimming. That's it. That's your responsibility. You want to know something? They listen.
I can imagine.
My question to you, what would you like me to do for SwimAmerica?
Well, Vivian, you look at this group. I mean, it's, you know, I think SwimAmerica went through a little period where we had a tough time. We were lacking. Things went off the rails a little bit, and I think that, you know, I with Karen Downey have been trying to bring things back, and I think that, you know, like when you say that God brought us together, you know, I get chills just thinking about it. It's like you called right at a time when I was like, God, I don't know if this is going to work, and you called at a time that I personally needed to have everything that you just did for us for an hour. I get to listen to this all the time.
When I was 70 years old, I committed to God that I would live to 97, the age of Mark Chagall and my grandmother both passed away at 97. I'm going to kick it up a notch. I want to go at least to 105 because I want to see, I'm not going to leave this earth until we see SwimAmerica grow. It is, as I said before, and I'm going to say it again, you are in the best program for saving lives, for helping people live a healthy life, and for helping people live a long life. So I'm going to commit myself at least to 105, and I want you guys to commit yourself also, because we have a moral and ethical obligation here.
Yeah, I agree. And that's, who couldn't say it better? You know, so I think we're all on board with that. What do you think?
Over some of my notes, just to make sure that I didn't.
Does anybody have any questions? You covered a pretty wide spectrum of things there.
Just one second.
While she's looking at her notes, I just want to say this live is going to be saved and then posted to the Facebook page, SwimAmerica National page, so you'll be able to watch that if you want to, or show it to
This is in the development.
Mandatory staff training.
Every new program director has to sign what they see.
So is the basic problem raising money for your particular programs?
We haven't, you know, here's the thing, Vivian, this is, I just got approved to start a fundraising campaign as you know, talked about. So we haven't really started any kind of campaign with any earnest. But that is on my agenda.
All right, so I'm going to give you two ideas. One is, I don't think the shopping center developers are doing. I have two high school girls that come over and help me shop online. I mean, talk about Indiana, that's it. my card, Mrs. Jacobson. The other thing I would like to see, is there some way that some students at the very beginning of this program, which took place 35, 40 years ago, are alumni of a SwimAmerica program, who we could contact, because we need $100,000 to get this thing going?
Yeah, that would be a good song.
Okay. If there's possibility of going through your records, because these people are now in that generation that has made money in real estate and banking and medicine, and I think that if you talk about today and my coming, isn't it interesting? 35 years later, I come back with the same question. Why do we have this drowning rate? And who do I go back to? I go back to SwimAmerica. And God only knows how many new swim organizations have developed in the last 25, 30 years. So let's see if we can get an alumni. Yes.
I just have just a little bit of thought about this, and I just feel like your story, and I'm gonna compare you to one of my favorites, and that's Mr. Rogers. Legislation is so important, and we were talking about how swim lessons used to be part of our school system, right? It used to be just, you had to learn how to swim. And over time, that has been, taken out of our school system. And I know different states are working in legislation to try to get, our HSAs to pay for swim lessons before taxes, which is a great thing, and having it part of the school system and blah, blah, blah. But I do feel like if we could get your story in front of legislation, I think it would be powerful. This is a historic story. I don't know. Are you going to ask me how to do it? Somebody knows how to do it.
I want to add something to that.
I get up every morning and say, I'm going to be 89 October 11th, and every morning I'm going to slow down. I'm going to slow down. This is a bunch of bullshit. When you're passionate and you love something so much, and you're so enthusiastic, especially the Hebrew word for enthusiasm is hitlavud, and it comes from the root word lev, which means heart. So the word heart is in the Bible, and the modern word for enthusiasm comes from hitlavud. And I think you have a very interesting point there. The Latino program that I taught for the kids in the north is in a town called Bisco, North Carolina. Bisco, North Carolina would put the wealthiest communities in our state, in the United States, to shame. You should see the swimming pool they put in. A kiddie pool, an adult pool, park recreation. And Bisco, would you want to know something? Exactly what you're talking about. The people in the city council of Bisco saw that swimming, so that's the direction that you're going in, right? They saw that their small community needed a swimming pool and swimming teachers. And that's what you're saying.
I think people get confused about swimming lessons and when they should start. And sort of, because there's no why doesn't your kid know how to swim by some certain age or whatever? It's a nebulous thing. Oh, when they're 12, maybe I'll do when they're 2. So, we don't have a set thing. In one of the counties here, Broward County, that Biggie is in, they have swimming lessons in all the kindergartners. They all have to take swimming lessons. I'm not going to tell you they're great swimming lessons. They are not great swimming lessons. But the thing is, because all the mommies know the child is going to go into the water in kindergarten, and they're not so sure they trust the schools, guess what they do?
Yes.
They rush all their children at 4 instead of 5 into the want the children to learn to swim because it's an expectation as they see it in kindergarten. So I think those are the things, because we don't have a marker that says you need to be a swimmer now by a certain time, right? It's an option.
You know something on the Weather Channel, I watch the Weather Channel every once in a while, and all summer long, they have the deaths in the car. You know, they have a whole thing of if it's 90 degrees out, in 15 minutes it's 110, and in a half hour it's 120, and really highlighting, you know, leaving your kid in a car and dying, but many more kids die because of drowning, you know?
I think it's also defining, trying to get out the what is safe swimming or what is good swimming. Like, what is like?
Excuse me, the people in the back here,
Yeah.
stand up and answer.
Yeah.
Be a
Yeah.
swimming team.
Sorry.
Voice.
Yeah, I got it. But it's defining what is good swimming. What is good swimming, like nationally? Like, what does a swimmer need to do to be like pass the pool test or something like that? Putting that out there. I have a good friend of mine. She posted on Instagram, her kids are doing doggy paddles. She's like, look, my kids can swim. And I'm like, biting my tongue, and I'm like, I'm not going to say anything. It's not my place. But that's not good swimming. We know what good swimming is. So I think that's part of what the campaign can be, is working on defining what is that good swimming. I don't know.
U.S. Masters got together with the Red Cross, and they used the 5 competencies of the Red Cross, which is pretty. That you know, it's like I always like to see organizations work together. So I mean, if we could use like the 5 competencies and say you have to swim 25 yards with recognizable freestyle, that would be great. The 5 competencies are: you jump in, come to the surface, tread water for a minute, and then swim back to the wall.
But Columbia University in New York, you cannot graduate unless you can swim the length of the pool.
That's right.
And one of my students who was 4 or 5 years old is now studying nuclear engineering in Columbia, in New York. And he came back to Pinehurst during Thanksgiving vacation last year, and he said, I'm taking you out to lunch. I said, oh, okay. and I said, why are you taking me out to lunch? He said, because I didn't have to do the swimming test at Columbia. I graduated, and I just got in the pool and I swam across, and here's the, and he didn't have to learn how to swim in order to graduate. But I don't know how many colleges and universities know that.
But by then you might be gonzo, you know. Most of the drownings are happening in the under 5 set.
Yeah.
So
Under the age of 4. Under
Yeah,
the age of 5.
yeah.
Yes, back there.
Bill, 2 things. Karen, you remember Swim Central.
Right.
I'm
That's
sorry,
what I was talking
my
about.
hearing aids.
Swim Central in Broward County.
He might not know. He might not know.
Oh, well, I guess it was between 2007 and 14 when I worked at ASCA. We supplied swimming lessons for 1st through 3rd grade,
Kindergarten.
and the county would bus the kids to the pool. We used the JCC pool in Plantation, and we would give them 10 lessons. Every kid in Broward County got 10 lessons for free, and the county bused them back and forth. And I don't know what happened to the program.
That's the program that I'm talking about, where because they knew the parents knew that the kid was going to swim as a kindergartner, they made sure that they could swim before they got there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I had to go, I think I told you about this, I had to go find teachers, and I live in Vero Beach, I had to go find teachers in Broward. And one of my best teachers was a Haitian 18-year-old that didn't know how to swim.
Yeah.
And I taught him, and he was my best teacher. It's amazing. And I mentioned to you before about St. Edward's, we had that drowning in 2021.
Yeah.
The senior tradition, he jumped off the pier, and this young man, 18 years old, went down and never came back up.
Wow.
So we, now that the new pool is being finished up, we should be opening in a while. We had planned on doing the swimming competency test you just talked about, because you recommended that to me.
Yeah.
So I've got administrators now that are behind me to get this thing rolling so that we never have that situation again. I had to give a deposition, or in a school, had to give a deposition, our CFO had to give a, it was not a pleasant experience.
No.
But worse for the family.
Sure.
And they're still going through litigation with the school, but so for all those years.
And I am to understand that if a mother has her kid in a soccer program, or a golf, or a tennis program, what am I trying to say here? That it's, in her mind, more dangerous to have a kid in a swimming program?
Yeah, you got it.
I think you brought up something here that I'm
But
trying to
you-
explain. If there's somebody that can figure out my
The
thoughts.
reason why that happens is because in that particular county has the highest drown rate in the United States.
Wow.
So people are highly aware. Somebody in their neighborhood may have died. Their own kid, maybe you wouldn't even believe it. Vicky's in that community. She can tell you. Drowning's crazy. And so they truly believe, that something could happen. Another thing that county did was it told if you wanted to put your child in nursery school, all right, and not in public school, just any nursery school, you had to fill out a form. And on this form it said, has your child had swimming lessons yet? Doesn't say you have to. Didn't say anything, but just said, has your child had swimming lessons yet? And the people who did that work found that just having, has your child had swimming lessons yet, on a school form, drove parents to get lessons. Not all of them, but it increased the lessons.
Well,
I think in SwimAmerica, this whole safety thing is what we need, because what you fight for, what you fight against, and the people who are paying for swim lessons, they're all going to the program that we all know, I guess we're not naming it, where they're just taught to yell for help and roll on their backs. They're not taught to swim. And my husband says they do one thing very well. And so people love it. They put fantastic videos online, and these kids with all their clothes on, and boots and gloves and whatever, are floating on their backs. And so parents think, this is how to keep my child safe. But I have so many parents that come to me who have had 4 kids, and she said, I've done this program, and I guess I'm not allowed to say it, but I did this, and now those kids are afraid of the water. I want you to teach my next 2 kids really how to swim. I said, that's what we do. We're going to teach them safety skills. They're going to learn how to float on their back, but they are going to learn how to swim. Our goal is to teach them how to swim.
And it's fun.
Right, and it's so much fun. You're going to have a great time. They're going to love it. They're going to keep coming here. But if SwimAmerica can just show that we are the swim program and the support you're getting, like when I first bought my SwimAmerica program, I thought, oh, I need to know how to run the business. I thought I was getting a business program when I got it, because I really already knew how to swim, teach swim lessons myself. Of course, I know SwimAmerica stuff. But, you guys are all getting, it's really coming up to what we need, but we need to have that. We need lots of videos nationwide of here. Our kids are swimming. I say, I have 4-year-olds who swim. Why would you just want your child to float on the back in their coat?
Right.
Like, that's why it's super important to send our videos
That's right.
that we take of our children
Exactly.
happy. They're not crying, they're not throwing up, they're not in their clothes.
Somebody
They're
else-
learning in a happy, supported environment. We're not bashing any program, we're supporting our programs and how well we do it.
that's right. We're not bashing any programs. So Abby is sitting right here, and what I would like to do, I think.
There's some questions in the back.
I knew, but I have something to say.
You go, Bill.
But the thing is that I would like to take all, like I'm watching all you guys from up here, and there's a lot of interest. We need to turn this into something and turn it into something quickly. And the first way we do this is to get a lot of videos to Abby. Let's empower the person who can really take advantage of the social media stuff out there. I mean, it's like, you and I are saying that, I don't know that much about social media and all that stuff, but a lot of people do. So get those videos to Abby. Let's start really getting online and getting a presence that shows the positivity and the joy. That's why the first thing we have on there is SwimAmerica, to enjoy for life. You know, that's an important thing. You know, that's what Vivian is saying here. It's enjoyment for life with safety, you know? So, yes, all the way in the back.
Please stand up so I can hear you. Thank you.
Okay. You said that you want to publicize something, and I think that's good, but I think we also need to go back to publicize from SwimAmerica standpoint, what swimming is. Because we get kids coming into swim team, oh, my kid can swim, and they swim underwater. Parents don't know the difference.
Yeah.
They say they come up and breathe, and they come back out, and to me, that's drowning.
Yeah.
But it's a drowning way to happen, because if they come up and can't get a breath, they're done. You know, and if they're bouncing off the bottom, well, they can swim. That's not.
I know it's my hearing
You know, we
aids,
need to go
but I
back
can't
to the
hear.
basics of teach parents what exactly swimming is, because there's all these different programs that teach these different things that aren't swimming. Survival swimming, where it's underwater swimming and swimming through the hoops, and it's all nice and cute and pretty, but it doesn't teach a kid to be able to survive if they fall off a pier or something.
This is something that Abby and Karen and I were talking about on the website, to like having a 4-year-old kid swimming great freestyle. Like even if we just had a video of kids, this is good swimming. This is good freestyle. This is good backstroke. This is good breaststroke. This is what it means to swim well. And this is what we do in SwimAmerica.
What about the underwater crawl? Does it have to be the underwater? I'm just saying, even teaching this, watch the breathing.
Sure.
If you set milestones,
Yes.
right? So here I am, I'm a mommy, and I'm thinking, okay, I want my 2-year-old to swim. Well, what can a 2-year-old do? You know? Well, what can a 3-year-old do? Well, what can a 4-year-old do? And show those pictures.
Yeah.
So that they know. And even if they don't come to us, at least they go someplace and say, but wait a minute, I saw this online.
Yeah.
And this is what my kid's supposed to look like. And he doesn't look like that. He's laying there on his back staring at the sky. That's not working.
This-
He can't play in the backyard.
I love
you
this.
know?
And this we can take so everybody that's here, we all have videos. Or if you don't have videos, get some videos of the kids swimming. Get them to Abby, and let's do this. Because I can just see somebody going to another program, or somebody else is saying, can you make my kid do this? Can you make my kid do this? Because this seems to be what they're recommending. And let's take the lead on this. And this way, it's not to we'll probably get more business, but it's also to raise the bar of what is good swimming.
Right.
And we can help out other programs so that our kids in the United States can be safer. So with that, yes, Gina.
I was just going to add one more thing to that. It's a lot of these parents don't know what good swimming is because they don't know what swimming is.
Yeah.
So you've got to have generational, you've got to have the adult, you've got to have the school age, you've got to have preschool, you've got to have infant, or some opportunities for those people because they're never really, I mean, even if they look at the video, they're not going to understand the difference between that good swimming and the non-good swimming if they have never been in a pool before, and they're just as terrified.
Yep.
The one thing that I learned about this meeting today is how awful COVID was. The fact that we're sitting here face to face, without masks, without fear. Look at the exchange of ideas and communication. In one afternoon, your presentations are marvelous. And I think the lesson here is we have to continue to communicate our ideas to each other.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be a swimming. If you have I'm sorry, I don't know your name, but
Right.
If you have a great idea that you're using in your swimming program for 4-year-olds, how do you communicate this idea to other SwimAmerica teachers?
Well, now through Facebook. I can go on the page and answer questions. Like Barb asked a question about celebration, and I was like, hey, we just adopted this, and the kids really like it. I bought a small gong that's only 12 inches big for like $130, and the kids love it, you know? So
That's great.
I have my own gong.
And we do have the program directors meetings too. We have monthly program directors meetings, but I think Facebook is going to be, for those kids, for the quick tips, that's going to be great. So.
Now, I don't teach with any swimming devices whatsoever. No float boards, no noodles, no swimming. When I get a kid, that's the way they are. In their suit, and that's it. Is that part of swimming? Or you
Sure.
That's your everything. What do you mean? You're the one that started this whole thing.
I always have an interesting story. I had this woman, and she called me, and she said, my husband and I are getting divorced. And I said, why? And he said, he's having an affair with another woman. And I said, why are you calling me? How am I going to help you? And she said, my psychiatrist says I'm very, very quiet, and I don't know how to communicate or express my feelings and my anger to my husband about him being involved with another woman when we have 2 children, and I thought we had a great marriage. And she lived in this big apartment building in Chicago, which had an absolutely gorgeous pool, and of course I said, I'll be your swimming teacher. And I came over, and this woman turned out to be a great swimmer, and he had a breaststroke to die for. I mean, it was just knockout gorgeous. So her psychiatrist and the psychiatrist of the husband the 2 psychiatrists decided to bring the couple together to resolve their situation, because despite her actions of her husband, she wanted to stay in the marriage because of the children. And he was upset. So she takes a swimming lesson with me, and after the swimming lesson, she goes to this meeting with her psychiatrist and her husband's psychiatrist, and about a day or 2 later comes by and he calls me and he said, Mrs. Jacobson, what did you tell Sandra to do? I said, I didn't tell her anything. I'm her swimming teacher. I don't talk to her about her marriage. And he said, you gave her a swimming lesson, and she got into my office, and she didn't shut up for 45 minutes. Inhale, exhale, and I think they resolved the marriage problem. And then I had a kid, also the psychiatrist called me, stopped talking to his mother. That's a 10-year-old kid, comes home from school, lip tight, won't talk to his mother. So the psychiatrist said to the mother, when did he stop talking? She said, well, I took him to the lake and we went swimming, and he came home and he stopped talking to me. So he said, well, there's a swimming teacher. Maybe something happened in the water. You can call Mrs. Jacobson. So she calls me, and the husband calls me. And I meet with the child. And the child isn't talking to the psychiatrist either, but he will talk to his swimming teacher. And I said, you know, why did you stop talking to your man? And he said, I was at the lake with my mother, and I was playing with my friend, and my friend brought me under the water, and I couldn't release the hold, and I thought he was going to die. I felt I was going to die. I felt I was never going to see my mommy and daddy again. They said, we're going to help you. His name was Meier. I said, we're going to help you. I'm going to help you with this problem. So I said to the parents, did you know that your child was in trouble? Where were you? They were sitting on the lounge here by the beach, having a drink, talking. They weren't looking at their kid. And this kid knew. He expected his mother to come in and rescue him, and she did not rescue him. And this kid was full of hate. So I called the parents, and we had a private pool at one of the golf clubs, and I rented it for the evening. So just the 4 of us were there, the 2 sons and I. Because I taught military aquatics, I thought the best thing to do was put this kid in the situation that he was with his friend, where he almost thought he was going to die, get back on the horse again, get back on the bicycle again. And I told him exactly what I was going to do, and I had his parents sit there. And I said, don't you take your eyes off this child while he's in the pool. Don't you ever do that. We're in the lake. You can talk to your girlfriend some other time, but you cannot talk to your child while he's in the lake. Take your eyes off. And of course, I told you that I taught military aquatics, and I had some training, and of course, all of us have learned about double drownings and how to release ourselves. And I told the kid exactly what we were doing, and we did it. And I grabbed him under the water, and I kept him under the water. But I told him to take an inhale before he was going in, and hold it, and not release the inhale until he just had to, absolutely had to release the inhale to an exhale and let it out very, very slowly. And I made the parents watch me, and I took him in deep water, and I put him under. And he was able to release himself, come up. And I said, you will never need your mother or father again and depend upon them for the rest of your life when you're in trouble in the water. Because I've taught you how to save yourself when somebody is trying to drown you. And this is the thing. You're talking about legislation. We're talking about SwimAmerica. Why aren't the parents watching their kid? We have this 2-year-old kid that was in a drowning accident in Moore County, North Carolina. And the kid survived. Now he's brain damaged for the rest of the life. And I don't know if SwimAmerica is responsible for lecturing parents. So the question we have is,
I think all of us have conversations with parents, on the side of the pool, but a lot of the parents that do bring their kids to swim lessons are conscientious and want their kids to be safe, So listen, let's take one more question, Sue, and then we can, it's 2:30. Yeah, it's 2:30? Yeah, okay, so we can, go ahead, Sue. Yeah, Sue.
So I'm sure everybody here has gotten phone calls from parents saying, how many lessons will it take for my kid to be able to be a swimmer? We're going to the beach in a week. I want to load him up. Or he's going to Boy Scout camp and he's going to be in a lake, a big lake. How many lessons until he's safe? He's leaving on Sunday. And you don't ever want to laugh.
Brunner talked about the woman who was going on a trip and she wanted to learn to swim before she went on the same thing.
Right, and it just makes me think, and you don't ever want to make a parent feel bad by asking that question, but in our profession, it's like really the answer is like it might be 4 years. You might be teaching your kid for 4 years, like if they're a 2-year-old. They may be 6 years old before they're a safe swimmer to go to the beach or go to a backyard pool or a pond or.
Okay, so I would say to the parent, look, I understand the situation. What I want you to do is I want you to get a dish pan, fill it with water, and we're going to start the swimming lessons so it'll make it faster and easier for me. And we're going to teach this kid to blow out a candle before he gets to the water. Now, what am I going to do? I'm going to blow out a candle. So when you're teaching the breathing technique involving physically, when the air, even if the kid's 2 or 3 years old, they're smart enough to feel something going on here. And that's the exhale, because you remember, inhale, exhale.
Right.
So we could start, and just I would say to the mother, Mrs. Brown, I think you have a wonderful idea, and I hope you have a great vacation. But actually, Mrs. Brown, you could start your kid on swimming lessons right now without me. I have a waiting list or whatever you want to say. And in the bathtub, of course, you'd be there. In the dish pan, you'd be there. Teach him to wash his face. How many fingers should I make hold to? So it's not going to have goggles, right? How many fingers? Wash your face. How many fingers, right? Get him to start the breathing technique. Now, I've done that. Not in that particular situation, going on a vacation. But when I have kids that are waiting for me to come and teach them, I get the parents involved in teaching them. And you could do it. That's a very, very good question.
But it makes me think that parents don't really understand what it means to be a swimmer, or there's mixed information out there about like what's the purpose of swim lessons? Like what's your end goal? And I tell people we have a swim lesson program that we would love for you to be part of, but if our program doesn't work for you, I can tell you other places to take your child. They need to find a place that they're happy and that you can afford, and that in the end, they can be independent swimmers, and they can maybe, like with our program, if they ever want to join a swim team, they can easily join a swim team. It's a really easy transition with SwimAmerica. But I do think there's some confusion with parents, especially that don't swim, how long it takes, what it needs, what it means to be a swimmer, when you're supposed to start with your kid doing it.
Is there a way that we can put this conversation in the?
It's gonna be on. We can take.
It's being recorded.
Oh,
Did you sign it?
Let's hear it from Vivian Jacobson.
Okay, two things. I want you to go home, get out of the deck, and get into the pool.
There you go.
Yeah.
Got it.
I want you to swim minimum 3,000 yards a week. When some crazy doctor says I can't treat you for heart disease or your hip or your cancer, you're going to be able to have treatment because you're going to be a swimmer and physically ready for any medical treatment that needs to keep you going until you swim. And the second thing I want you to do is go get the competitive high school students, get the competitors to high school students that love swimming, that spend a lot of, come and assist you, blowing a bubble, teaching the crawl, how to stand up. Get these high school kids and college kids to assist you. And then what we're going to have is not only are we going to have more kids learning to swim and people helping you, but we also are going to have future teachers who eventually will sign up to join SwimAmerica. And in your adult swimming programs, I would go out and I would market a brochure to the doctors. We're starting an adult swimming program. We have found such and such statistically that people over 75 can be in the pool, be safe. They don't have to do aquatic exercise, like the 30, 40 women in the vertical position, nobody's in the horizontal position, doing breathing, inhaling, exhaling. And remember what Mike said, 3 things in life. You ready?